Hi guys, today we're going to talk about using your formulas to find the volume of a sphere. So first of all, just make sure that you take the time to go over the daily agenda and that you follow through each task. This is where obviously you got the video from. Make sure you're watching this video as well, okay? And then there is going to be a slight difference between those of you that are using, that are digital learners and those of you that are in class, because if you're in class, you'll have a copy of the homework. If not, you just need a sheet of notebook paper and a pen or pencil, and you can jot down enough that it should be fine, okay? So I was hoping I can make this a little bit bigger, but it doesn't look like I can. So I'll go with it from here. So the volume of a sphere, well, first of all, let's go back and let's refresh our memory. The volume of a cone or of a cylinder was pi times the radius squared times the height. The volume of a cone is 1/3 pi times the radius squared times the height, because it took 3 of these cones to fill this one cylinder. So it's 1/3 of it. From that video, if you watch that video, you're going to see it takes, this only fills my cylinder up 2/3 of the way. So really, a sphere is equal to 2/3 a cylinder, the volume of a cylinder. All right, so keep those concepts in mind when you're looking at the volume of a sphere today. All right, and we're going to show you, that looks like an eyeball. We're going to show you how 2/3 of the volume ends up looking like this formula right here. It's 4/3 pi, not too bad, radius cubed. That's going to be the new piece, which I want you to think about it. There is no height on a sphere. It's actually the diameter. So the diameter is the height. And we know that the diameter is 2 times the radius. So the height is really 2 times the radius. That's another key piece to keep in mind. All right. Not only are you going to do spheres today, but you're going to do half of a sphere, which is called a hemisphere or hemisphere. Sorry. So it's going to look like half of a sphere. And then a couple other key pieces of information. It says that we already said that the height of a sphere would be 2 times the radius, and a sphere has 2/3. Okay, and you saw that hopefully if you watched that video first. This is just your author of your curriculum showing you how they came up with that formula. They said the formula for a cylinder is pi times the radius squared times the height, and we're going to replace the height with 2r because there is no height on the sphere. It's just 2 times the radius, which is the diameter. Since we know that this is 2/3 of that, it's telling you to multiply by 2/3 as well. And then we know from math rules that anytime you're multiplying, you can change order. So I would do 2 times 2/3. I would change those two to get them closer together. And that's how you got 4/3. That pi could be by itself, so that's how you get pi. And then when you have the radius squared times the radius, we learned from our exponent rules, it's just the radius cubed. Okay, now knowing all of that, let's go and let's apply it. It's no different than last week other than the formula is different. It's 4/3 pi times the radius cubed. And the greatest part is they will give you these formulas in the 8th grade and above. You don't have to memorize them. Now, if you get a job where you're dealing with it, you may, but we don't have to memorize them for 8th grade. Right? Once you write down the formula, you plug in the values. You know what 4/3 is. They tell you to use 3.14 for pi, which some of you did not on the quiz. You used the pi button, so that's why it marked it wrong, and I had to go back in and correct it for you. It's not that the pi button is wrong. It's just like I showed you before. If I use the pi button, like 2 times pi, if I use that pi button, my decimal answer is going to be really long. But if I just said 2 times 3.14, it shortens up my decimal there. The same number, it's just one is a rounded version. That's why they have us use the 3.14. And then the radius in this case is cubed. All right, and you can plug it straight in your calculator. Doesn't matter which calculator you use. If you're using Desmos, you just put the 4 on the top and the 3 on the bottom, or you could do 4/3 times 3.14. Again, do not use the pi button right here. And then when you do your 3, you're going to use the A to the B button to get that 3. And it gives you 113.044 hundredths. And this is just units cubed because we don't know what they're talking about. Okay. If we put this aside and we bring up this calculator, it's going to work the same way. We're going to say 4 ABC3, nothing's different there, times 3.14. The 3 to the third is going to look different. It's not 9. It's 3 raised to that. So you're going to have to hit that little rooftop looking thing, and you're still going to get the exact same answer. If we were to do this second problem, what you have to remember is it's still 4/3. It's still 3.14. The radius is not the same as that. It is not 12. It is half of it. You have to divide it in half to get the radius. So it would be 6 to the third. Excuse me, not 6 times 3, 6 to the third. And then you're going to plug in all of those numbers and you will get the answer. And if it says round, round it. If not, excuse me, you don't need to. All right, now let's take a look at the back. And I don't mind going fast because I know you guys can slow me down if you need to. On the back it says, leave your solution in terms of pi. So now we got a double whammy. Not only are sometimes they're going to give us the diameter and we have to divide it by 2 to get the radius, they are going to tell us to leave it in terms of pi. So what we do with that is we still plug in that formula, 4/3 pi times the radius cubed. But this time, before you do anything, just drop pi straight down into your answer. Don't multiply it in your problem. Instead, only do the 4/3 times the radius cubed. So I'm going to use my calculator and I'm just going to arrow back. Whoopsie, no, I'm not. I'm going to clear it out and do 4/3 times 6.5 to the third power. Ooh, look at that. Anytime you have a repeating decimal, if you can't write your repeating decimal, because let's say you're an online student, there's no way to show 1/6 repeating. So if I were you, I would just write 3.66.17. Just round it to the first number, and then don't forget pi because that's part of your answer. All right. The last two that we need to look at are word problems. All right. We'll start with the first one because it's easy. A hemisphere just means in the end you have to divide it by 2. We know the volume of a sphere is 4/3 pi times the radius cubed. And in the end, I'm dividing it by 2. Okay, in the end. So if I plug it in, I got 4/3 times 3.14 times 7 cubed. And here's the deal. If you plug it in a calculator like this, 4/3 times 3.14 times 7 to the third, it is doing the math mentally as you go. So when you hit divided by 2, it's not just going to divide that last digit by 2. It will give you the right answer. So your normal classroom calculator knows that our answer is 718.01 in the 3's repeating. But watch what happens when we use a Desmos calculator anytime division's involved. So there's my 4/3. If I type times 3.14 and then I hit times 7 to the third. Watch what happens when I go to hit divided. Oh, not there. Even if I arrow over, if I hit divided by, it automatically only wants to divide that last number by 2. So you have a couple choices here. You can either hit enter, and then when you try to divide by 2, it's not going to let you rewrite that number, and you can see that number's pretty messy. So I would go up and I would put parentheses, just put my cursor back in there, put parentheses around it. Then you can say divided by 2 and you will get the right answer. Or right from the get-go, if you know you have to divide by 2, that's what you do. Put your information in right on the top in a fraction form, and then you won't have to worry about those parentheses. Okay, and you'll still get the same answer as I did. Now, the last problem is a problem that I saw a lot of people struggle on the quiz. If they give you the volume, that just means it's going to go on the V side. They gave you the volume. All right, so see if you can follow me on this one. The volume is 288 pi. So that's the only piece of information they gave me to plug in. So I'm going to plug that in. I'm going to keep my 4/3 pi and my r cubed. Hopefully you guys know anytime you have the same number on the left and the right, you can cross them out. So really, I have 4/3 times r cubed. And I need to solve for r. Not necessarily right now. I've got to take it one step at a time. So I'm going to divide by 4/3, the inverse of multiplying. And that's why on the quiz, when you were given the volume, I told you instead of multiplying, you got to do the inverse. You have the answer, so you don't need to multiply to get it. You got to divide to find it. So 288 divided by 4/3 is really 216. But I'm not done. That's not my radius. That's my radius cubed. So once I've divided, I'm stuck here. Now, hopefully you guys remember cubed means a number times itself times itself. So I always ask students, what's the cube root of 216? And they tell me 72. They just divided it by 3. But that wouldn't work. If I plugged in 72 times 72 times 72, it does not equal the number that I want. I'm looking for what number times itself. So then they start guessing and they go, okay, how about 3? 3 times 3 times 3 is 27. That's too low. How about 5? 5 times 5 times 5, that's 125. How about 7 times 7 times 7? 343. So they can pretty much guess and check until they figure out the answer is 6. But you don't need to do that, guys. There's something called a cube root. So just like we had the square root, where we thought of a number times itself, and we use that square root sign, this is where we're going to use that sign on your calculator that had that little X in front of it. So it's above your raised to the power of, and if you accidentally pressed it, it would say answer. The way to get the cube root is to hit the 3 and then the square root sign. So if I want to find the cube root of 216, I would write it just like that, and it's going to find the cube root. Okay, and there's some perfect cube roots, but like the square root of the cube root of 100 is not a perfect cube root, because you can't think of any number times itself 3 times that's going to equal 100, but we're focusing on 216 right now. Okay, so on your calculator, to get the cube root, you're going to type 3, and then you're going to type second, and then you're going to type that little raised to the power of. I tried to pause that. If you're using the Desmos calculator to get the cube root, so this is on the classroom calculator, on the Desmos calculator, it's going to be a little bit different, and you got to be familiar with this, because if you ever got to take a quiz and you're absent, to use the square root, it's right here. The cube root, it's right here. But what's cool about it is it puts the little cursor, as soon as you press it, it wants to know what kind of root do you want. Do you want the 3rd, the 4th, the 5th? We're going to do the cube root, the 3rd root. Then we would type our 216 underneath, and it gives us our answer here. All right, so on the Desmos calculator, let me write over here. So this is on calc, is here, and then on Desmos, you're going to type this button and then the 3 to get the cube root. All right, so with that being said, I have 9 seconds left. You're going to do T14 and you're going to do the homework. Have a great day. If you need me, you know how to get a hold of me.